How do you triumph over trauma using natural solutions and essential oils? Well, today we're going to cover that in part 2 of that class that we had here in Las Vegas with my mentor, Candace. And she's going to talk about more of her story, which is really important to show that, hey, we don't all have it all together, but we have victories, struggles, as well as learnings. And without further ado, let's see what she's got to say.
Nursing mamas, this is not for you, because peppermint does slow down milk production. However, you may be able to counterbalance that with what? Do you know what?
Fennel.
Fennel. Very good. You guys are new?
Yes.
It doesn't seem new. It don't seem new to me. But a lot of people seem surprised, when we send something
We've
through.
done research. We've been wanting to get our hands on doTERRA for the longest time. We just
You came to the right place.
Yeah.
You found
You
the
didn't
right
meet the
place.
right person.
Yeah,
Jealous.
that's right.
Yeah.
You see, we waited for the best
Bill,
to
all
come
your
along.
dear good luck to you.
Well, anything that we take
and they
internally.
were like, where did you find these two?
Okay, yeah. And now you're all on board. Now, she told me earlier she wants to have every single thing she needs to have in her home. Internally, things take about 45 minutes to get through our digestive system. So a lot of people will do a peppermint lick and they'll think, man, I feel it already, that doesn't make sense to me. Well, the thing is that sublingually is one of the fastest way to apply, right? So we're actually, when we take a lick of something, we are using it topically on our tongue, right? So it is absorbing really quickly. And if you can smell it, you're also using it aromatically. So when you use something neat like that, where you're just licking it right off of the back of your hand, or you're putting it into a glass of water and you're drinking it down, you are absorbing some topically. If you can smell it, then you're also using it aromatically. When you use something in a capsule, that is strictly going through the digestive system. That will be the 45 minutes. But when we do a peppermint lick, and I'm going to invite you guys to do one with me, you just put one drop onto your hand, lick it, and press it to the roof of your mouth. I'll pass this way away from the nursing mama.
I know my daughter loves peppermint too. She's 8.
Oh, she's brave.
Yeah.
She's brave.
She asked me for
Peppermint
peppermint
on
either.
garden,
She
my
didn't know
favorite.
that we had
I know, I love
Ah.
Because she liked the
Now you're never going to keep them in stock. She's going to be eating them like candy. I help my nieces and nephews to stay hydrated with the peppermint oil because kids can be very resistant to drinking water. They want soda, they want juice, they want other things where we want water. So I get an opaque bottle that they can't see through, and I have 1 drop of peppermint oil in my water, and I tell them that I have candy cane juice. And they are begging me for more candy cane juice.
Oh, isn't that
So
sweet?
it's been really effective, particularly when it's really hot out. You guys know all about hot here in Las Vegas, right? So it's been really, really beneficial to be able to use that little trick to help kids stay hydrated. Also a trick for me to stay hydrated, because water sometimes it gets a little boring after a while.
Yes, it does, yes.
Right? So adding a little peppermint oil to my water, adding lemon. I like to add, my new favorite is green mandarin. Ooh, I'm so in love with the green mandarin.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, so good. In my smoothies too. Ooh. I'm already excited about my smoothie tomorrow now. Just thinking about the green mandarin oil. By the way, I need to borrow some green mandarin oil tomorrow.
We got you.
So, why then, if taking things internally, it takes 45 minutes to get through our system, why would we take something internally when topically it only takes 2 minutes, or aromatically it only takes about 30 seconds? What do you guys think?
Probably because long term, and also too, it in parts of the body that maybe don't filter through the skin.
So they just can't take it to them.
Absolutely, there are hot oils that potentially will your skin. Fortunately, you guys have wonderful guides along the way that are going to help that from not happening. I remember Lance also even putting something on your skin and then you put a Band-Aid over
There's
the
oregano.
helichrysum
Oh yeah.
and got like a little chemical because the oil was interacting with the plastic on the Band-Aid
Yeah.
and causing a chemical. So he's like, it's not getting better. I thought Helichrysum would help. And I'm like, you gotta take that Band-Aid off, babe. That's the issue. So fortunately for you guys, you have amazing guides to walk you through these things, to help you avoid things that we maybe have done ourselves. And we can lead by example. So absolutely putting something into a capsule that's too hot to put onto your skin, taking it internally. Absolutely things that are long-standing that you want to deal with, systematically, right? Absolutely things that you want to address internally anyways. If I'm having digestive issues, then it makes sense to send something through my digestive system. If I'm trying to specifically target organs for a cleanse, then it makes sense that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take things internally. And if I want to support my immune system, then it makes sense that I'm going to be taking things consistently to support my immune system. And you can do some of these things. The On Guard is a wonderful example. And we're going to talk about some of these things. So that's just a little bit of the basic education so that we can all be on the same page about what essential oils are and how we can use them. But I do want to get quickly into the reason that we're here and talking about how we can triumph over trauma and what is happening with our body and what are some of the tools that we can use to help ourselves through these darker times, okay? So what happens here on this page, they have, it's so funny to me, so I actually thought I want to deliver this message to people, and I spent like 3 weeks developing content and making my own handout that had something pretty similar to this. And then I went to convention and they're like, we think you guys need an emotional handout. And I'm like, I literally just spent 3 weeks making, but now it's so much easier to just get theirs. But that aside, what is happening here, they call this the response cycle. And they say life happens. So for me, what we're specifically talking about is some sort of a traumatic incident has occurred. For me, it was sexual assault. More recently, it was loss of a family member that was very unexpected, right? And what happens when life happens, what happens when we have this traumatic incident is that we immediately go into an acute phase where a lot of us get pretty darn down. And things may look like crying all the time. Things may look like not wanting to get out of bed. Things might look like not even taking a shower or wanting to put our makeup on or do the personal grooming that you might do on a regular basis. It might look like eating terribly. It might look like not eating at all. It could look like any number of things. It could look like alcohol abuse. It could look like any number of things that the general theme is unhealthy behavior. Now, I don't want to say that crying and feeling emotionally is unhealthy because that's not true at all. I actually think that crying is a very healthy release, right? Don't keep these emotions bottled up. Let that toxicity out. And we don't want to stay in that place, okay? It's very normal to have an acute phase, but an acute phase is anywhere from maybe a couple of hours to about 2 weeks, okay? Anything after the 2 weeks, we're now out of the acute phase and we're moving into the interpretation and the integration. We're having emotional responses as we interpret what it is that's happened to us and how are we going to move forward in life now? How are we going to move beyond this? And a lot of us end up developing these habits. Some of them may be turning to alcohol. Some of them may be turning to food. Some of them may be dissociating with friends and family and becoming a hermit. Some of them may be verbal abuse that we do to ourselves. For me, as I was recovering from my traumatic event, I had two places that I felt safe that I could go. I used to be a social butterfly. I'd go out all over the place. I felt like I had friends everywhere, and I would make my rounds. I would stop at 3 or 4 different places before I went home after work, right? I was always out just visiting with people. After I was sexually assaulted, I wanted nothing to do with anyone. I wanted to hide. I wanted to wear big, baggy clothes. I ended up putting on a ton of weight. And what I realized later is that I'm forming this physical barrier between me and the world and the things that have hurt me. But I also developed these verbal things that I would say to myself over and over again. One of my catchphrases was, I'm damaged goods. I'm damaged goods. No one is going to want me because I'm damaged goods. I'm not going to succeed at anything because I'm damaged goods. I won't be happy again because I'm damaged goods. And I formed these habits that you say over and over again. And the thing that happens with our habits is our body starts to physically respond to what we're doing. If we're eating terribly, our body is going to respond by gaining weight, by having terrible skin, by interrupting our sleep patterns, right? If we are telling ourselves these terribly toxic, negative things over and over again, we're going to start to physically respond. I'm gaining more weight. I'm less active because I think people don't want to interact with me, right? I'm not as passionate about the things that I used to like to do. It's interrupting my sleep patterns. So physically, our body starts to